All right, so I speak to a lot of different roofing companies personally as well as my team, and I can tell you with confidence that there's two types of contractors and two types of roofing companies when it comes down to retail sales. There is the most successful ones that are genuinely, and I kid you not, are closing at 50%. Various different reasons. Obviously, great sales processes, as well as many different financing options. Obviously, market to market is going to differ too. But then there's the other side of it, which is like the other roofer who can't close anything on the retail side. It could possibly be because they've only relied on insurance deals for the majority of their career. It could also be because they don't actually have a process. They don't know how to actually close these retail deals. So my goal with this video is to sit down, break down with you what makes a good roofing retail sales company. So like what causes these roofers who are closing at extremely high percentages? It doesn't necessarily have to be 50%, it could be 30%. Well, what's causing them to stay so consistent and what's allowing them to keep scaling into the retail aspect of their company, regardless of the circumstances. So whether that's time of the year, markets, different lead sources, etc., they stay consistent. So like what allows that to happen? I'm going to talk about some of the best practices. I personally sit down with a lot of my clients. I have over 75 clients now. We sit down together. We do a lot of one-on-ones on retail sales training. And so my goal in this video is to kind of just walk you through what I go through with them and some of my knowledge working with some of the biggest contractors in the nation. Some of my clients are doing 50 upwards of $100 million in retail sales, not insurance. And so I'm going to be sharing those nuggets, helping you understand what makes these guys different and how you can improve your sales process. If there's any things you can do to make it more efficient, then you can take it away from this video. So let's talk about that right now and let's get into it. Now, for some context before we jump in, before we get into the whole thing, my name is Manny Asadi. I'm the co-founder at Roof Ignite. I'm also the director of sales. And so my experience really comes from speaking to a ton of clients directly. I also have a sales team that I manage. And so we do a lot of training. We do a lot of call reviews. We're able to see what makes the best companies different than the companies who are struggling the most when it comes to retail sales. What allows the best companies to maintain high gross profit margins, high net margins at scale, at $50 million, at $100 million? What allows that to happen? And what are these salespeople doing differently than your salespeople maybe? So let's figure it out. So as I mentioned earlier, I mostly see two types of contractors. I'm going to write this down over here. And then these two types of contractors, really they divide into, we'll just call them roofer one and roofer two. He's roofer one, and then we'll do the other side, we'll say roofer two. All right, so what is roofer one doing? This guy will say roofer one is the guy who sucks at sales. He has a 15% closing rate. And this guy, roofer two, he has a 35% closing rate. So what makes them different? The way I want to break this down for you guys is help you understand the guy who's closing at 10, 15% versus the guy who's closing at 35%. Let's walk through their entire sales process. So I'm talking about from the moment a lead gets to them, all the way to the time where they sit down with the homeowner, go through the deal, sign the contract, get them approved for financing, whatever it is. What happens between this process that causes one person to be at 15% versus the other person to be at 35%? Upwards of, I've seen 50% of some large companies, which is pretty crazy. Not company-wide, but more so like for a specific rep. So I'll talk about what those reps are doing. Now, we'll talk about roofer one first. So roofer one, this is the guy that's closing at 15%. Typically, and this is the biggest thing that I notice, these people typically have absolutely no speed to lead. All right? What does that mean? Well, a general rule of thumb in the market is that anytime a lead comes in, you're supposed to call them within the first 5 minutes of them coming in. What does that mean? Well, lead comes in, they're still on their phone. You should contact them right away. If you do not contact the lead right away, we in the marketing space and the sales space, we consider that a dead lead. Now, there was a Harvard study done, you can pull this up. It said that, I don't want to butcher the number, but I think it was something like 7 times less likelihood of closing if you don't contact them within the first 5 minutes of them coming in, a lead. So the first company, Roofer One, does not contact the lead within 5 minutes. Typically, these people have a 24-hour speed to lead, which is absolutely horrendous. Like, we don't want to have that. That's horrible. So that's one of the biggest things that I notice. As soon as a lead comes in, regardless of the channel, you should contact them right away, introduce yourself, qualify them, vet them, pre-frame them, all these different things, and collect their data too. And I'm going to talk about that. The second thing that I noticed these types of companies do, so the roofer ones, the ones that are closing at 10, 15%, is when they contact the customer, they qualify themselves to the customer. This is an interesting one, okay? I'm going to talk about this. So they qualify themselves. Now, what does this mean? They qualify themselves. Simply, what this means, this is an important one over here, I'm going to highlight it red. This type of person, so I'm talking about roofer one, is going to say, oh, hey, Susie, so I noticed that you reached out to me, and how can I help you, Susie? Why did you reach out to me? How can I be of service? Was you looking for a quote? And it's like, it doesn't necessarily have to be like this. I mean, I'm just giving you an example. But it's like a lot of the times what you're going to notice is they are saying verbiage that makes the customer feel like they're in the higher authority. Simply put, the customer has to feel like they're qualifying themselves to you, because ultimately you're the expert. You're the person who's going to come out there and help them. So why are we the ones that are qualifying ourselves to them? Why are we using verbiage that puts you in a lower place? Oh, how can I help you? What do you need? It's like, I'm coming to do things for you. I mean, dude, the way we need to look at it is there's so many companies out there. There is hundreds of roofing companies, if not thousands, depending on the market. And it's like, what makes you different? Well, what's going to make you different is the way you make the person feel. And so the only way you can make the person feel like you are the authority, you're actually an exclusive company, is by you using the right verbiage when you speak to these people. So it's really important to use language that qualifies the customer. Hey, Susie, we noticed you reached out to us to get some possible help with your roof. I want to make sure before we actually come out there and see if we can't even help you. I guess, what do you feel like is the biggest challenge that you're facing with your roof right now that has you wanting to replace it, right? It's like that verbiage is much different than you saying, hey, how can I help you? It's like you're not an open book anymore. It's like, let me see if I can help you, Susie. Even let's see if it's a good fit. So that language is what causes these people to lose a sale, even when they do get on the phone with these types of homeowners. Now, here's the biggest mistake that I notice is the people who are the closers that are closing at a less percentage, they typically, I'm going to expand my line here, they typically, and this is a very important one, they do not do their quotes in person. Now, these people also, and I should talk about something else before I get into that, they have no process for nurturing the customer prior to the appointments, okay? There is no pre-nurturing. What does pre-nurturing mean? Let's understand this term. Pre-nurturing means you send resources to customers. You send videos, personalized videos. You have a conversation with them. You have your sales guy introduce themselves. You send testimonials, video testimonials, or customer referrals. Because especially like the biggest thing I'm talking about is like cold channels, right? So let's just say you had a lead come from Facebook. Well, that person is likely not going to know who you are. They're likely not going to know everything about your company. It's like, how do you expect them to trust you? Well, the only way they can trust you is by you nurturing them. Send them resources. What are the common roofing cons in the industry? Show them some testimonials, video testimonials. What does that process look like? Are you doing that right now? If not, fix it. Also, are you doing anything to get this customer to really feel like you are an exquisite company, like you're a different company? So beside resources for a second, are you having them call one of your customers to build more trust? Or are you just another price amongst 7 that they're getting? So it's like, what truly makes you different is the biggest thing that these people do not understand. So it's really funny because as a marketing agency, there's all these roofers that come to me and say, Manny, what makes you guys different? Well, it's like, whatever I say is hearsay, right? It's like, what's the point of me telling you what makes me different? Go ask my clients. So these people, they have no pre-nurturing sequence in their funnel, pretty much. So the biggest thing that I noticed with the most successful roofers is they have pre-nurturing sequences, a lot of them actually. So what are some examples of these? Well, let me actually write these down for you so you can use this and make your business a lot better. Some pre-nurturing examples. All right, let's put this in red. Example number 1, all right? A great pre-nurturing sequence is you make a video, a personal video. Now, this could be done by the sales rep. It could be honestly just an automated video that gets sent out to them as soon as they come into your funnel. So if it's a Facebook ad, if it's a lead from any channel, as soon as the customer comes in within the first 30 seconds, you have a video that gets sent out to them. Hey Susie, we noticed you reached out to us to get some possible help with your roof. Our team's going to be in touch with you within the next 5 minutes to help make sure that you got in the right direction and there's nothing else that you need. I want to make sure that you're taken care of at the highest level possible, whatever that may be. That's a personal video they send to them. Number 2, resources. How can they do due diligence on you? How do they do that? Are you sending them videos or are they just going to go search you up online? Are you sending them your website, right? Are they seeing that? Testimonials, right? Are they seeing that? No? Okay, it's a problem, right? Okay, let's give you another example. Are they searching you up on the BBB, right? Or do they have to do that themselves? Or are you sending it to them? Oops. Right? BBB. Yelp, right? All these different platforms like Facebook, right? Are they going to go like look you up? Are you doing that or are they doing it themselves? Because you should be the person who's providing the resources. See what I mean? It's like these people, they don't have these things in place. The people who are closing at 10, 15%, they don't have these things in place. So ultimately, it weakens their sales process. They look like everybody else. Horrible issue. There's a couple different things you can do. And in our company, we talk about some of the best practices. So if you're looking to get some possible help with this, make your marketing process more seamless, you can check out the link in the description. We walk you through exactly how we do it. And you can schedule a call with me personally one-on-one. And my team and I, or me, are going to show you exactly what that process looks like, how we do things differently to make ourselves look different. Also, another thing is we want to make sure that the marketing frames them properly. So like, what are they seeing before they come to you? If it's a colder channel, if it's like a generic ad that they're coming through, you want to have more of these resources. But if it's a more personalized ad, if it's a high authority ad that you're running it through, maybe it's a really personalized Facebook ad, then maybe you don't need as much sequence nurturing, right? So it's like these things are dependent. Also, the best companies send emails to their customers, right? Emails, text. There's so many different things that you can do to make yourself stand out. And these companies, they don't do these things, which is why they're stuck at the 10 to 15%. Now, I want to talk about the most important thing that these companies miss. And I kind of touched on this earlier. But this point, it probably wouldn't surprise a lot of you. And a lot of you are going to be like, oh, what? You're not supposed to do that? Not going in person. Or if you do go in person, all right, hear this one. Sending quotes after the appointment. This is the biggest one that kills a lot of companies. And let me explain this. So some companies, they say, well, I'm too good to go in person. My customers don't need me to go in person. Then you're just competing on price. It's like, I don't even see you. Who are you? Why should I pick you? So if I was a homeowner right now sitting in front of you, why should I pick you? Like, I have a house too, right? Or alternatively, they go do the inspection on the roof and then they say, hey, I'm going to email you an estimate of the next 24 hours. It's like emailing estimates. This one is the biggest killer of 99% of roofing companies, emailing estimates. It's like now they're actually just a price among 7 others. So I say this all out of love to say the best companies literally do the exact opposite of what I just showed you. The best companies, and let's talk about what they do, just so you guys are clear. I like to keep this concise. Here's what they do. And I'll do it in green, just so you can see the visualization. The best companies call their leads in 5 minutes. Let's do it like this. We'll do blue. 5 minutes. That's their speed to lead. So as soon as the lead comes in, they contact in 5 minutes. This is really important. The best companies also, and just so we're clear, they do not qualify themselves. So what do they do instead? Well, they are, this is important, they are the authority. I'm going to put this in bold. So you guys can understand, right? These companies are the authority. So being the authority means you have control over whether you'd like to help these people or not. The framing is extremely important. Very, very important, actually. And so when you keep qualifying yourselves to people, people see you as lesser. A great example of this, and this is my favorite way of thinking about it, women. As men, you'll see a lot of the times or honestly, vice versa, it doesn't really matter. If you put somebody on a pedestal, whether it's a man or a woman, you'll notice, especially in the dating game, a lot of the times if you put somebody on a pedestal, they'll view you as lesser, right? Because they're going to be looking down on you and you're looking up at them. So what does this do in relationships? Well, it causes people to say, yeah, this person, let me ignore him. Like, he's too pushy, like, or he's not, he does, like, I don't know, he thinks I'm like this whole thing, and it boosts their ego, etc., whatever. My point is, you don't want people to not view you as the authority, right? You want people to look at you and say, wow, that's a company, like, I'd love to work with them. And trust me, there's companies out there who do that. Now, the best companies also, and I should mention one more thing here when it comes to this point specifically. Not only the worst companies, they not go in person, they also don't have a lot of like options. What does this mean? I'm going to add another point here. Options, right? So this comes down to like financing, right? It's like sometimes people just don't have financing options. Or like some people want to go through the insurance process. Like these people don't provide insurance deals. They just don't do it. It's like, why don't you just do it, right? Obviously, I understand there's like liability issues, but that's what causes them to lose some deals. My point is, it's like the best companies, they have a lot of things to make homeowners pick them. They have a lot of different reasons of why homeowners should pick them. They look like they're best. They sound like the best. They make themselves, like literally frame themselves as the best from the whole process, even in their conversation that they're having with these homeowners. Like they're asking qualifying questions from the homeowner rather than asking them what they need, right? Or like, how can we help you? It's good to ask people what they need, but like, how can we help you? It's more so like, let me ask you the question because I'm the expert. What authority means is you are the expert, right? The expert. And so these people are the experts. Now, these people also have extremely high levels of nurturing. So often you'll notice in the best companies, a lot of their work comes from referrals. Even in the smaller companies, a lot of their work comes from referrals. These companies, the reason they're getting so many referrals is because they have a lot of word of mouth going around. So their nurturing processes, they actually strategically place this too. They get testimonials, like video testimonials, and they have like customers on standby who are ready to talk to other customers that even convert their cold channel leads to warm leads, which is pretty crazy. And that's what makes them different. It's like a ton of nurturing, right? And that's what is causing these people to close at such high percentages. They just have a ton of nurturing. Now, they do all these things that I mentioned over here, right? They already do this. They do this. So they have the BBB. They have the Google reviews. And I should add over here, they do it. They have the Facebook pages. They have the email sequences going out, giving people value on those emails. They send the personal videos. But why do they do all this? Because they understand human psychology and human trust ultimately stems from them knowing more information about you, right? The reason people say, I need to think about it. The reason people say, oh, I'm going to get 5 other quotes is because they don't know if you're the right choice for them. Now, to be clear, there's also people who are genuinely just looking for the best price, and that may not always be you, which is why these people are not closing at 100%. But to be clear, if you do everything you should be doing, you'll get a much higher closing percentage. You need to identify pain, dig for pain. Here's another one I missed. The best types of people, the reason they go in person is because they, and I'm going to zoom in here, they dig for pain, right? They actually have a process where they go in person, they talk to the homeowner, they identify actual issues. Versus the guy who sent them the quote, just a quote online, is being extremely selfish. It's like, you haven't even identified anything. It's like there's no real pain from where the customer is for the way they should be. It's like, why should they pay more for the roof? You're not really explaining that. Or even if you are, they're not understanding it, because the only way people are going to explain or understand something is by you not telling them things, but you asking them questions so they realize things. So they dig for pain because they have a better sales process, and they ask a bunch of questions. They ask a ton of questions to make them stand out and be different than the other guys. And ultimately, as long as the person needs a new roof, they can afford one, or at least go through financing, and they want to do it within a reasonable time limit, the best companies have so many different options for people to move forward, right? They do this. So it's like the reason people are stuck at 10 to 15% closing rate is not just one thing. It's the little things, the little cuts that are killing them, right? It's death by 1,000 cuts. They call leads in an hour, right? Their office is too busy, right? The best companies, they have a team who calls people right away as soon as they come in, right? The worst companies, they qualify themselves to people. They treat customers like these magical things. It's like, dude, not everybody's a good fit for you. Why do you treat them like they are, right? They're not the authority, but these people, they are the experts. Like, they make themselves stand out, truly. With the worst companies, like we mentioned, there's no nurturing process, no video sent, no email sent, no automations. It's just like back in the day with the phone books. Let me give you a call, you give me a call, playing tag. It's like, I hope you find me on Google and like you like my reviews. No, the best companies, they do this stuff. They do a ton of nurturing, right? Like this. And they have all these things that I was mentioning earlier. So they send personal videos, they send resources to their customers, they have websites, they have testimonials they send over like strategically. They make these videos, they're called breakout videos. And I'll show you an example of these. They do this thing called breakout videos, and it's going to be pretty cool. So if you take a look. Now, these breakout videos, they're these like short 2-3 minute videos answering the commonly asked questions that their prospects can ask you, your homeowners. So I have like 15 different on my website. You don't need to do what I do, but it could be things like, hey, what makes you guys different? What's the cost to work with you? How do I know I'm going to get good results working with you as a roofing contractor? And you can create these videos and you can provide it on a resource page with them, right? It's like these are all things that you could be doing that you're probably not doing in your business, causing your closing rate to suffer. The reason people are not working with you is not because you're this company that is not good. I 100% agree. 90% of these roofing companies that are not getting the work that they should be getting are great companies, right? Not all of them are, but the majority of the companies that I speak to are amazing people that need help. But the thing is, they don't know how to help themselves, so they lose a lot of deals. And honestly, in my opinion, it's extremely selfish when you lose these deals. So it's critical for you to have these processes in place to ultimately put you in the best possible position to scale your company to 5, 10, 15 million ultimately, if that's your goal, right? So making sure that you do these things is absolutely critical. And not going in person, I promise you this is the biggest killer of every single company out there. Not going in person. This is what causes people to lose. Not going in person, or if they do go in person, sending quotes online. Like, I do the estimate with you, I have a conversation, and then they go out and then they say, I'm going to email you a quote. It's like, by the time you emailed the quote, I forgot who you were. The best companies, they sit down with the customer in the moment, they dig for pain, they understand the actual challenges, they explain things, they create a gap. What is a gap? Like, what does that mean? It simply means I ask you questions to help you realize the actual issue more and more and more. Like, I have a client who is a firefighter. God bless his soul. This guy, he tells me crazy stories about how, like, if you don't do certain things, if like something leaks through the roof, it could damage the electricals, that could cause the house to go on fire. He's seen so many of those cases. It's like, you are being selfish by not going in there and digging for pain and helping the person understand why they should work with you. It is extremely selfish of you. So my point is, be articulate, dig for pain, ask better questions. Like, actually ask them, hey, why do you think like this is important for us to do this? Like, if you're going to suggest something to them, help them realize why it's important, right? Don't just tell them, oh, I'm going to replace the shingles and the ice flashing. They don't know what that is. You and I know, but they don't know what that is. So like, be articulate, ask them questions, help them understand. And ultimately, my best clients, this is the funny part, have like 2 to 3 hour sales processes versus most people are like, oh no, I want to be in and out of the appointment in 20 minutes. It's like, are you in a rush? Do you not care about your customers? And I'm sure that way you're going to get a lot of people to move forward with you. If you're talking to a referral, of course it's not going to be hard to get the referral to move forward with you. But if you're talking to somebody who doesn't know who you are, it is your duty and responsibility to do the things that I mentioned in this video. Because ultimately, the reason this guy, Roofer 2, is closing at 35% is because he's doing all these things that I'm talking about over here. He's doing all these little things that's causing him to be different than the guy who's not doing these things. So please, for the love of God, if you want your company to grow at a high level, have speed to lead, right? Make sure you have a nurturing process, especially if we're talking about cold channels. Like referrals is not as necessary, but now we're talking about all the different channels and specifically retail sales, right? Make sure you're nurturing them. Make sure you go in person. And once you go in person, make sure you give the quote on the spot. Have a software where he gives the quote on the spot. Once you do all that, have options for them to move forward. Financing, cash, interest, have everything ready for them to move forward because ultimately it is your duty to make sure that the homeowner signs and they get taken care of. Because if they don't go with you, they could go with somebody who might get them horrible results, and that's going to leave a bad taste in their mouth. So the biggest difference between these companies, we went through it over here. I hope this is helpful, and this is really the biggest fundamentals that you need to know. Obviously, we can get specific onto every single one of these topics, talking about what questions to ask them specifically to dig out the pain, right? We can talk about what nurturing processes are the best practices for those. I will cover those in another YouTube video. But long story short, this is what differentiates the contractors who are closing at 10 to 15% and the contractors who are closing 35% plus, specifically in the roofing space. I hope this video was helpful. If you enjoyed this, if you want to get more value from me, then all you need to do is subscribe to my YouTube channel, Roof Ignite. Our YouTube channel, my business partner also posts a lot of valuable videos. Make sure you watch that. And if you want some consultation with me personally, or if you want to work with my company, all you need to do is click on the link below, go.roofignite.com/7figure-roofer. You can book out a call and we can have a conversation. Yeah, that being said, I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. Have a blessed one. It's been Manny, co-founder of Roof Ignite. We'll talk soon.